My base was under siege. A raft, kitted out with Plant Species X, set up outside my base with nothing but bad intentions. I couldn't even do something as simple as stepping outside my front door without being blasted by the turrets on the raft. Whatever was going to happen here wasn't going to be pretty. I'd have to play this smart if I had any hopes of making it through the siege. The plan I decided to move forward with was to drain their turrets by baiting them to shoot at me and dodging the attacks. A war of attrition. It wasn't looking good for me, but realistically, I had no other options to fight back. I soaked the turrets as much as I could, but it didn't matter. They had been duplicating fertilizer. There was nothing I could do but sit back and react to whatever move they pulled on me. That didn't mean I was not going to make life hell for them, though. Yeah, he's just pushing his raft up against my walls. I'm going to back up. I'm going to lose my head right there. They know I'm here, so I'm just going to chill out, take it easy. A glimmer of hope in the darkness. Outside the walls, the person being shot by the Plant Species X was an ally of mine, going by the name of Darth Sema, but most of you probably know him as John Mark Gibson. And our positioning was perfect. Outside the walls, so long as he stayed out of the range of the turrets, he could skirmish with the enemies and actually hold his own. And from my position on top of the roof of my building, I could provide covering fire using a sniper rifle. Shit. Looks like he took care of himself. Shit. Gotta keep my head down. Trying to cover my... That's my friend.
Run down there, the guy in the hide armor. Give him some protection.
Teamwork makes the dream work. That right there was fucking beautiful. These guys aren't so tough. Not when they're not around their turrets anyway. Oh my god. There's like a gangbang. I better get out there. It's like a fucking 3v1. I better help even the odds a little bit. Chad nations here had clearly grown over-relied on their plants. They must have forgotten what actual PvP is like. There was 3 of them, but they seemingly forgot that wearing armor and bringing weapons to a fight was important. Instead, they came out naked and flailed around wildly with just their fists. And as soon as I showed up, they immediately began to simply run away back to their turrets. Without the coverage of their turrets, they simply couldn't do anything. Me and John Mark Gibson allied up to make identifying each other in the future easier. It's good to have allies in a place like this, especially when fighting people like this. Raft's moving. I'm glad I built my walls 3 high. I was seriously considering making the walls 2 high, because I'm like, oh, that's adequate. If I'd done anything less than 3 high, I would be in the shit house right now, and all my teams would be dead. And it's like, I pretty much almost can't defend myself here, because they just have turrets. But what am I supposed to do to defend myself? I can open the gate. They were raiding my base, and worst of all, there was practically nothing I could do about it. The Plant Species X was maybe 15 feet away from where I currently stood. Any sort of counterattack or offensive push would immediately result in my death. I would have to just stand there and let them destroy my gate with no worries of me even being able to fight back. It's like I literally cannot defend myself. I'd been killed, and as you probably expected, my Trike, Parasaur, and Phiomia were all led into the turrets of the raft. This had all been because they decided to use a strategy that completely prevented me from being able to fight back the most critical part of the raid. To say that I felt that this was scummy would have been a bit of an understatement. Realizing that blindly running around and trying to kill them with no real plan in mind was a terrible idea, I sat up on my roof and waited for an opportunity to get them. See, the issue is there's 3 of them, and obviously there's only 1 of me. John Mark Gibson hadn't been seen for a while. And not only that, but they had boosted melee. So going and fighting them in a straight slugfest wasn't going to work for me. I would need to be smart about this. The distinct rattle of grenades let me know that there was no time for a plan. I had to act now. You're interacting with. They had yet to make any significant progress on my actual base, and better yet, I was inside. I could gear up and prepare for the battle ahead. I had just enough gear to set myself up with 1 decent kit. If I lost this, I would have pretty much nothing left to work with. Alright, I've scrounged up just enough materials to get a new door. This guy's gotta be one of the biggest pieces of shit I've ever had the displeasure of interacting with. The guy hits like a damn truck. If I get in front of him again, he'll wipe me out. There's 2 of them and they got me trapped. How the fuck am I gonna get out of this? $185 melee. Fucking pathetic. A lot easier than I thought, apparently. I guess this guy doesn't realize you're actually not supposed to let your enemies loot your friends when they die. As soon as they shied away from their raft and its protective gaze, they had been floundering, unable to get any real win, and I wanted to keep it that way. Like, imagine that. Imagine you're just... A failed ambush. They really were pulling out all the stops they could. It's so frustrating. And they took feces out of my plants just to be assholes. They didn't take them. Just to spite me, they had despawned all the feces from my crop plots. Now keep in mind, they didn't want this stuff. It's literally shit. And my plants weren't going to be done for another 10 hours. They literally just did it to set me back. And that they did. These plants, I may as well have put them in their crop plots a couple of minutes ago. I'm basically starting fresh. I had, however, managed to push them out of the courtyard. Me and John Mark Gibson held down the front gate. The Plant Species X raft was still in front of it, so there was no way for me to run out and repair it, so we just simply have to leave it open as is and repel any attack that way. I think that grenade went the wrong way, slightly. I had gotten far too overzealous and pushed him when I shouldn't have. As a result, both me and John Mark Gibson were now dead. Chad Nations had full control of the base, and we had pretty much no gear to fight them back with anymore. The base is in shambles, and there's 3 of them crawling all over. I need to get out of here. I need to just back off and heal. There's no winning to be done now. I'm just gonna go back off, heal, get my gear level up. They had full control over my base. There's no doubt about that. And by the looks of it, the fight was already over. The whole front of my base was caved in. On closer inspection though, I found that luckily they had yet to breach into the loot room. The base design had worked. However, it was only a matter of time until they farmed up enough grenades to come back and finish the job. So I needed to requisition some gear, get back there, and push them out of my base. I covered myself in the hide of the pterodons. A basic set of armor, and certainly much worse than what they had, but under the current circumstances, it was the best I could have. I then met up with John Mark Gibson, and we prepared to storm back into my base and take it over. You know, I put some human feces in there. They threw the human feces away too. Because I'm actually not allowed to have any fun today. The base was currently empty, but the raft was still right outside. This could only mean one thing. They were farming more grenades. Now was the perfect time to set up an ambush and hold this defensive position. Oh, and on their way out, they remembered to despawn all the feces I had put in the crop plots from the first time they had despawned it. What a charming group of individuals. Behind you. John Mark Gibson was dead. It was just up to me now. One down, 2 to go. Here come all of the boys. So shit at the game. They don't actually try to fight me. They don't actually try to fight me. They just die, and then they loot their friend's body, and then they just leave. That's all they do. You're both gonna burn now. I know you're near death, buddy. Yeah, he's broken bones right there, isn't he? The last one limped away like a dog with his tail tucked between its legs. You can tell he's under 30 HP because he's limping away. He's got broken bones. If you thought I was angry about that turret raft before, imagine how angry I was when a guy with gear that I desperately needed managed to be saved by them despite getting his and 2 of his buddies' ass whooped. It really wasn't a 2v1. I'm standing still, you can't even hit a bola on me. Look at this pussy. Look at this. Throw a bola, run away. Oh, you guys suck. I guarantee you, they would be gone by now if they didn't have those turrets on their raft. I'm trying to think of any strats I can to loot those plants. So I have my raft. I don't like doing this, but I'd finally had enough. I tried to be nice and play fair, but they clearly weren't interested. They were using a plant species X raft that had duped fertilizer. And they weren't just using the plants in a way that was to defend their own base. They were using it to try to stop me from being able to defend or even go near my own damn base. Simply put, this plant species X raft was a crutch for them. I would have wiped them out in the first attack if they didn't have this little thing protecting them. And they weren't even being good sports about it. They despawned my own plant species X just to set me back. They killed my tames, and if at any time they felt like they weren't going to win the fight, time to run back into my little invincibility bubble. Now this whole time, with just the snap of my fingers, I could have solved this problem. An incredibly easy solution. But I didn't want to use it because it was pretty damn scummy. By now though, these guys had shown that simply wasn't a concern to them. So I decided it wasn't a concern for me either. Alright, put him in the tribe. I invited John Mark Gibson to the tribe. He'd need to hold the base down while I went and did my work. Unfortunately, I had to resort to mesh rafting them. Now, I wasn't going to do this to get into their loot. This was simply to help even the odds. This would immobilize their raft and prevent their Plant Species X from shooting. Basically, I was just making it a fair fight.
You guys fucking like this, right? Because this is what it feels like to me. You're just powerless. Doesn't matter what you do, doesn't matter how you play, you're gonna get fucked. Climb up!
Why did you fall down?
Of course, they were going to take me prisoner.
Looks like he's following behind. Rescue operation?
I was injured and barely alive, but John Mark Gibson had saved me from getting caged. So right about now, I think it's time to end things.
We need to get these fucking plants down. Whatever it takes. Fucking pillage these things. Yep, I knew it. I knew they had fucking 10 fertilizer in all of them.
There was no doubt about it. They'd been duping. It was about time to get rid of these guys. I left John Mark Gibson on guard duty to make sure they didn't do anything with their raft, and I went to go farm some of the materials for grenades.
They're saying that their hatch frame is at 2k health? No way.
John Mark Gibson was saying they left the hatch on the top of their base unlocked. I had to see this for myself.
What the fuck? Good teamwork. They literally unlocked the hatch frame.
I guess they never thought someone would get up on their roof. And I thought they were over-reliant on plants before. Now, if I'd done this to any other tribe, I'd be feeling pretty bad right now. But not to these guys. Not after what they did to me and how they fought. Not to mention they were literally duplicating fertilizer. It was me or them. I don't like fighting dirty. Really, I hated the fact that I had to do this. But it was me or them. Either I let these scummy bastards win, or I also fight dirty, and I let them have a taste of their own medicine. And for that reason, I don't regret what I did.
I think. Did you just demo part of his base? Why? Oh yeah, armor. Fuck yeah. What do we got in here? Dude. This is gonna be quite some runs of metal.
It was finally over. The reason I've been describing this as a siege rather than a raid is it wasn't some quick 10-minute event where they came and grenaded my doors down. This was a multiple hour-long affair where I wasn't even able to leave my door without dying. And it was finally over. Now I got some loot out of it, sure, but I also lost a lot of stuff. All the tames I had, all the growth on my plant species. I spent so long trying to get these things growing, and it was all reset because they kept despawning all my fertilizer and feces. But at the end of the day, I got something that was a little more valuable than loot. So corny. I got friendship. Yes, before this, me and John Mark Gibson on the server were basically just acquaintances, you know. They attacked me, I attacked them, whatever, things happened. But by the end of this, we were full-fledged tribe mates. And finally, I can mark Chad Nations out of my list of enemies. Yeah, that felt pretty fucking good. And just like that, the siege comes to an end. If you've watched this far, you probably don't entirely hate my guts, so you know, why not leave a like and subscribe. And if you want to financially support me, the link to my Patreon is in the description down below. You get early access to videos and you get video on this screen. Pretty epic. Thanks to Level 5 Tech Data and Dylan the Villain for being very epic. Level 5 Tech that also says, everyone that's not on the screen, well, they're just a bob.